Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Group. That's right, I'm your host as always, Ryan, and today we're going to be taking a look at the potential for one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history, the New Day, and the potential of them coming into AEW. As we know, the 90-day no-compete clause is now over, so they can turn up in any wrestling company as they wish. The most likely destination, I would have thought, would have been AEW. Now, obviously, there's so many teams in AEW. Not just like proper teams. You've also got teams that can come together at any part. There's different factions as well, so you can get like a pair off of any variation. You know, like obviously, if you just look at the Death Riders, for instance, you could have Pac and Claudio, who obviously they're getting a shot at the tag belts this weekend. There's Claudio and Mox. There's Garcia and Yuta. You know, you could have Claudio and Yuta. You know, it all mixes around. So obviously we've got the proper teams. We've got teams that come together on the odd occasion, and we've got factions where you can pair off different ways. Don Callis family, again, there's so many different teams that you could have there in the Don Callis family. But what I want to do is look at the top 5 tag teams that I'd like to see the New Day face if they were to come into AEW, and you can let me know your 5 in the comment section below, and we can compare and see, and then hopefully they will come to fruition when the New Day come in. You know, the potential they could come in this weekend at Redemption. You know, Young Bucks and Mox and Ospreay, they're facing off. They could turn up at the end of that. You know, like I said before, Kofi and Cage are defending the tag belts against Death Riders. It could come up at the end of there. Who knows? But one thing is for sure is on the Wrestling Group, we love a bit of fantasy booking. So, like I say, let me know your top 5 in the comment section down below, and I'll let you know mine now. So obviously the most obvious one is, of course, the Young Bucks. It's been a dream match for fans for years, with the potential, obviously, of Young Bucks being for years on the likes of Ring of Honor and New Japan. And then obviously there was talk at one point of, you know, could we ever see the Young Bucks in WWE? And then obviously AEW became a thing, and that seemed less and less likely because it was never going to be Young Bucks then going to leave to go to WWE. And the thought had never even crossed a lot of our minds that New Day wouldn't be in WWE. We thought they were going to be WWE lifers. Obviously, WWE asked them to reduce their contracts, you know, how much they get paid. They said no, took a bet on themselves, and hopefully we'll see that pay off, like I say, in AEW. So, obviously, a dream match people have wanted for years is New Day versus Young Bucks. Obviously, I don't expect them to be called New Day in AEW, because obviously that's WWE tag team name. Obviously, like we had Revival, got changed to FTR, and the likes of that. But just for this video, for the simple fact is it's easier than going Austin Creed and Kofi. You know what I mean? It's just easier. I just call them New Day, because to me they are still New Day at the minute. So I'm going to say, yeah, Young Bucks and New Day. That is probably the one most people want to see more than anything. Like say, if they do debut this weekend at Redemption, this match could easily be pushed straight away for All In, which is obviously probably the biggest tag team match you could put on. Would be obviously, like say, a team coming from WWE that what many would consider WWE lifers to go against, you know, one of the greatest tag teams in the history of professional wrestling in the Young Bucks. So it's one I'd definitely like to see straight off the bat. Really interested to see how New Day come in as well. You know, they've been a happy-go-lucky team for years, you know, all about positivity and all that stuff. And then they turned heel on Big E, which sort of fizzled out, and they didn't do a hell of a lot with in WA. So it'd be interesting to see how they would come into AEW. Would they come in as baby faces? I mean, potentially could they try and just come in as neutral? And obviously the fans are going to pop massive for New Day when they come in. I think that's right across the board. Everyone's excited to see New Day come in. So even if they did want to come in as heels, would they necessarily be booed? Who knows? So I'm interested to see how they work outside of WWE. But yeah, New Day vs Young Bucks has to be everyone's number one. I'd be very surprised if you sat here watching this and you haven't got that as your number one. So number 2, I'm going to say yes, it's a match we've already seen in WWE. Obviously, we had Revival versus New Day, so this is going to be FTR versus New Day. And you asked me what is the difference? Well, obviously Revival had a lot of restraints and restrictions, and obviously FTR have had none. FTR have grown, they're a much better team, the better wrestlers themselves, the gimmicks better. They've gone and become multi-time tag team champions, not just in AEW. Since I know of AEW, they've been Ring of Honor tag team champions, they were AAA tag team champions, they were IWGP tag team champions, so they are a really well-oiled machine now. Whereas obviously, yes, they were a good tag team as the Revival, but there's no restrictions. And like I said, it could be a gimmick match. We could easily see, we've seen them have like to me the greatest trios tag team in history. The matches against the Briscoes were phenomenal. Obviously, we've seen some gimmick matches there. That could potentially happen now in AEW. We could have a dog collar match. We could have ladders match, tables match, whatever. But it's a different hardcore style match, isn't it? It's no DQ in AEW. Means we're probably going to get blood and guts, whereas you're not going to get that in the WWE. It's very, very PG, the hardcore matches now, unfortunately. So the potential, obviously, to see these mix it up again. But, like I say, could we see it in a different style, maybe? Number 3 I'm going to go for is Gates of Agony. I really, really like the Gates of Agony. I do really, really enjoy watching them as a team. I thought they floundered for a little while. They sort of were in and out, weren't really sure what they were doing, and then since aligning with Ricochet as the Demand, they've become brilliant, so much better. Again, it's finding that right place for them in the company. I'd like to see them win the AEW Tag Team Championships at some point as well, but I think it'd be really cool. It's a tag team, obviously, that are often coming for the last 2 years, and it would be really cool to see what they could do against New Day, and the fact that we could even see them mix it up with Ricochet as well, which would be really good. So number 4 is Kofi and Cage. Now I know Kofi faced off against Edge in WWE in a singles match, and I know he faced off against Christian too. I don't think they ever faced off in any tag match with as part of New Day. I think that come after they retired. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they've ever faced as Kofi and Cage versus New Day, or Edge and Christian versus New Day. I don't think that's ever happened, does it? So I would like to see that, especially if Kofi and Cage are still the AEW Tag Team Champions, so it would be cool. There's the potential there for them to come in and have a triple threat match. We could see, we could see New Day versus Young Bucks versus Kofi and Cage, and if Motor Machine Guns come in as well, there's a possibility of that too. So there's many teams. Like I say, the tag division is really good in AEW right now, but it's gonna get a hell of a lot better if the New Day come in, and the potential for Motor City Machine Guns as well is just unreal. So, but yeah, Kofi and Cage, even if they're not champs, I'd like to see that Kofi and Cage versus New Day, and then like I say, we could see New Day versus Motor City Machine Guns if they come in, but I'm not going to count them right now because they're not obviously signed to AEW as of now. So the other team I'm going to say is Brodito. They've been phenomenal over the last year and a half. Former AEW Tag Team Champions, massively over with the fans. Do some really good tag team moves together. They feed off each other's energy, and like I say, the crowd loves them. So I feel like putting New Day against a fan favourite like Brodito is perfect. And then obviously you got the potential there as well, as if you beat them. If Bandito's the one to be pinned, you never know, we could get Kofi or Xavier or Austin Creed, whatever you want to call them. You could get either one of them going for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Who knows? That's this. It's just going to open up so many doors and so many opportunities of potential matches that we haven't seen before. Potential matches that we maybe haven't seen in a good few years. Obviously like the FTR situation. But I am really excited to see what New Day are going to look like in AEW if they come in. I feel like they will. I'd be very, very surprised. Very, very surprised if they don't come in. I feel like unless they were to retire, they're going to come into AEW. But then you've got other tag teams as well, like the Outrunners, that could be on there. They're very, very gimmicky heavy. It's they're very focused on like the 80s and stuff like that. So, you know, if New Day come in and they're sort of like got a bit of a positivity vibe gimmick, you know, that could be something which would mesh quite well there. And then, like I say, you've got different variations with the Don Callis family, different variations of the Death Riders. You know, there's potential for so many matches. Top Flight, you know, they're obviously in Ring of Honor more nowadays. You've got GYV, you know, the tag division is so stacked in AEW. Hurting to get, you know, there's them as well. You know, you've got Jay White and Juice Robinson. So many teams that they could face, but they're my 5 picks anyway that I'm desperate to see them face off against if they come in. So let me know your 5 picks in the comment section below and see how many we have the same. Also let me know, do you think AEW debut? Do you think New Day will debut in AEW at Redemption this weekend? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, don't forget, please do like, comment, and of course the most important one, which is subscribe to TWG, the wrestling group, today.